What? So today I want to talk to you guys about an issue that is really important to me. Hollywood has a problem. Well, Hollywood has a lot of problems, but this one's a pretty big one. I'm going to start off by telling you about two guys who are currently making a film. The first one is screenwriter David Franzoni. He's written some amazing movies like King Arthur, Amistad, and The Gladiator.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
I love that movie. The other guy is a producer called Stephen Joel Brown. He's done movies like Seven and The Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, and one of my favorite films of all time, The Fugitive.
Your fugitive's name is Dr. Richard Kimball. Go get him.
So Franzoni and Brown have recently announced that they're working on a script for a movie about the life of the universally known Jalal al-Din Rumi. For those of you who don't know who Rumi is, I'm going to take a few minutes now to tell you a little bit about him. Rumi was a 13th century poet, Islamic scholar, Sufi master, and theologian. Editions of his poetry have sold in the millions in recent years, making him one of the most popular poets in the US. Born in Vaksh, a small village in what's now known as Tajikistan, to Persian parents, Rumi moved around a lot in his life, from Uzbekistan to Iran to Syria, where he studied in Damascus and Aleppo. He eventually ended up in Konya in Turkey, where he spent the last 50 years of his life. Today, Rumi's tomb attracts so many of his followers and fans, and every year on the 17th of December, a whirling dervish ceremony occurs on the anniversary of his death. A pivotal moment in Rumi's life was when he met the wandering mystic Shams al-Tabriz. He and Shams developed a really intense intellectual and spiritual friendship, which left Rumi questioning a lot of things in his life. But then one day, Shams mysteriously disappeared. Some say he was killed by Rumi's close disciples who were jealous of their friendship. Others believe it was Rumi's own son who murdered Shams, while some think that Shams just up and left. The result was the same for Rumi though. He was devastated, and he grieved their friendship by writing poetry that changed the course of his life. Rumi wrote over 3,000 poems to Shams and the Prophet Muhammad and God. He also wrote 2,000 four-line quatrains and a 6-volume spiritual epic called the Masnavi, considered some of the most amazing poetry ever written. Rumi's poetry articulates what it means to be alive, to love, to lose, to learn, to seek the greater meaning of life. His ideas and imagery are intrinsic and timeless and are as relevant today as they were 800 years ago. As a fan of his work and the man himself, when I heard that Franzoni and Brown were making a film about Rumi, I was thrilled. I was beyond thrilled. I thought, this is amazing. Finally, the life of one of the East's greatest literary heroes is going to be depicted on film for millions to see. Here's a chance for a positive representation of the Middle East and Islam. God knows we need it. Franzoni even told The Guardian that by making the biopic on Rumi, he would like to challenge the stereotypical portrayal of Muslim characters in Western cinema by charting the life of the great Sufi scholar. It's great that someone who isn't a Muslim or Middle Eastern wants to help change these negative stereotypes. Hence why Franzoni and Brown stated that they would like Leonardo DiCaprio to play the role of Rumi. Hold on. What? And Robert Downey Jr., yes, Iron Man, to play the role of Shams al-Tabriz. What? Wait, what? Is this a Saturday Night Live skit where Tina Fey plays Sarah Palin?
Oh, hey, you know, sure.
And Maya Rudolph is Beyonce?
Hi, it's me, Beyonce.
Is this real life? This is ridiculous. Sorry, Franzoni and Brown. I mean, you might have good intentions, but this is such an offensive and bad idea. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Do you understand? I don't understand. After the Oscar So White debacle last year,
Well, I'm here at the Academy Awards, otherwise known as the White People's Choice Awards,
which embarrassingly pointed out to the blatant lack of diversity in films and the misrepresentation of race on film. You'd think that Hollywood would reinvent how they approach casting or be more aware of what they say to the media. But no! The fact that two seasoned men from the film industry, Franzoni and Brown, think it's completely okay to cast a white man to play Rumi is bizarre to me. This is what we call whitewashing. Whitewashing is the casting practice in the film industry where white actors are cast in historically non-white roles. Whitewashing has a long and offensive history. It's almost as old as the film industry itself. For example, John Wayne as Genghis Khan in The Conqueror.
There are moments for wisdom, Jamoga, then I listen to you.
Marlon Brando playing Sakini, a Japanese character in The Tea House of the August Moon.
Lovely ladies, kind gentlemen, pleased to introduce myself.
Oh my god. Natalie Wood playing Maria, the Puerto Rican lead character in West Side Story.
I'm not one of them, Maria.
But you are not one of us. And I am not one of you.
To me, you're all the beautiful.
Si, ya vengo, Papa.
And I hope you're ready for this. This one is probably the most offensive. Mickey Rooney playing the role of Mr. Yanoshi in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That was 2 weeks ago. You cannot go on or keep ringing my bell. You disturb me. You must have a key made.
That is so bad. That is so offensive on so many different levels. You would think that at one point this would stop, but no, it just kept going and going and going. For example, the period drama set in Chile, The House of the Spirits, based on the best-selling novel by Isabel Allende, has a cast of characters of Latin descent. But in the movie version, they were played by Meryl Streep, Jeremy Irons, and Winona Ryder.
Where are you?
I wonder if she's talking to all the brown people in the world. Look, they're all great actors, but none of them are Latin as far as I understand. This is even happening right now in my generation. There are so many examples, I don't even know where to start. The Prince of Persia was played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and his love interest by Gemma Arterton. Both of them are white. Alexander the Great was played by Colin Farrell, and his mom was played by Angelina Jolie. Why did he not change his Irish accent?
I'm his only worthy son. You crazed woman.
And why does she sound Russian?
But if you go to Asia without leaving your successor, you risk all.
And apparently Angelina Jolie is such a diverse actress that she also played Marianne Pearl from the film Mighty Heart, a real journalist of Cuban descent. I don't know how these things add up. Gods of Egypt had an all-white cast starring Gerard Butler, who also starred in 300 where he was a Greek king.
This is Sparta!
It makes no sense to me. The hugely successful animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I love, had 3 characters of color. And in the film version, they were all white. How is this normal? Whether the characters are real people who actually existed or completely fictional ones, whether the story is a period piece, an urban modern day drama, or complete fantasy, the formula is always the same. White is right, lighter is better. This doesn't only pertain to Middle Eastern characters either. Afro-Latina actress Zoe Saldana was chosen to portray the singer Nina Simone in a biopic, which kind of makes no sense. Nina Simone was a lot darker and Saldana had to even wear a prosthetic nose. Johnny Depp played Tonto, a Native American in The Lone Ranger. Rooney Mara was cast to play Tiger Lily, a Native American from Neverland in the latest Pan film. So stupid. Scarlett Johansson is playing the hugely popular Japanese character Major Kusanagi in the film version of Ghost in the Shell. Emma Stone was cast as Allison Ning, a character of Hawaiian and Asian heritage. How does that even make sense? How do they come up with these weird casting connections? I need an Asian character. Why don't I pick this actress who is a fake ginger with blue eyes? Christian Bale and Joel Edgerton were cast to play Moses and Ramses. You know, Egyptians from Egypt. While their mother was played by Sigourney Weaver in the film Exodus: Gods and Kings. Now, when responding to accusations of whitewashing, the director of Exodus: Gods and Kings, Ridley Scott, had this to say to Variety magazine: "I can't mount a film of this budget where I have to rely on tax rebates in Spain and say that my lead actor is Mohammed so-and-so from such and such. I'm just not going to get it financed." So the question doesn't even come up. The ironic thing is that most of these movies bombed in the box office, losing a lot of money for their prospective studios. This should tell execs and producers that the audience can spot inauthentic representation when they see it, and they don't like it. The whitewashing template is not a guarantee for financial success, no matter how big your star is in the movie. When it comes to Rumi, if I have to force myself to wear a completely commercial financial hat, maybe in the corner of my mind, I can sort of understand the importance of attaching a big star to a film like that to attract a mass audience who wouldn't be interested in a story about a poet from the 13th century. Anything Leonardo DiCaprio does will be, if not a commercial success, definitely a critical one. But here is where we have to ask ourselves a really important question. Is it worth whitewashing ourselves, our history, one of our greatest literary heroes, in order for his story to reach millions? Why do we have to compromise the identity, the color of one of our most revered scholars in order to elevate and praise him? The story of Rumi is one about a poet, and the power of a poet is in his words. Leonardo DiCaprio or any other A-list actor from Hollywood has already failed to do the part justice when they can't even speak the language in which Rumi's words were written in. They will not understand the nuances or the power of imagery, which is all lost in translation. Which actually makes me think of another question. Is Leonardo gonna be spending a lot of time on the beach to get the color that Rumi was most likely born with? Is he gonna be taking sunbeds? Or worse still, is he gonna paint himself? Also, what accent is he gonna speak in? Is he gonna speak like an Arab, a Persian, a Turkish man? Is he going to speak like this? Like this? Like this? How can they achieve this without it appearing comical? I mean, we don't want it to look like a scene from Aladdin.
Salam and good evening to you, worthy friend.
We've all grown up with it, we've all seen it in films, we're actually probably pretty used to it. Pop culture has always been populated with white men saving the world. How long do we have to endure the idea that they can also inhabit the characters and hijack the skins of others who have saved the world before them? Way before them. So who are we supposed to blame? The film industry, directors, producers, scriptwriters, actors for accepting the part, Hollywood? It's a really hard question to answer actually. These entities shouldn't be immune of criticism, but here's what I think. I would love to say that the hashtag Rumi wasn't white created a massive social media frenzy. There was some backlash, but nowhere near the shockingly racist backlash that happened when black actress Noma Dumezweni was cast to play Hermione Granger in the latest J.K. Rowling play, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Now, despite Emma Watson, who made the role of Hermione Granger famous, supporting the casting, and J.K. Rowling explicitly announcing in a tweet that the character of Hermione was never specifically identified as white in the book series, Rumi was definitely from the Middle East. For some reason, people have a major issue with a fictional character being represented as black, but seem not to care too much if a factual character is represented as white. The problem, unfortunately, isn't just Hollywood or the film industry. Whether it started with Hollywood or with a greater, longer Orientalist tradition of suppressing brown and black stories, voices, and heroes, the solution starts with us and our own perception and attitude. I'd like to leave you with one of my favorite Rumi quotes. Yesterday, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today, I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. Done!